Are you ready for rapid fire?
Let's go, baby. Rapid fire. Hit it. Hit it.
Got in here a little bit earlier than I thought we would tonight.
It's true.
Fill in the blank. Some other big news today. Notre Dame announced game times for their 7 home football games this season, and it's blank that the Fighting Irish will have 3 primetime home games.
Unexpected will be the word that I would use. It's unexpected. Look, I assumed A&M and USC were going to be night games. It just makes sense, right? They usually have 2. Those 2 games make perfect sense. The odd one is the Navy game. Like, why are we putting Navy at night? Like, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Navy at night. It's got a little ring to it.
Yeah, Navy at night. I don't know. And it's in November, too, I believe, right?
Yep.
Off the top of my head. So
just like last year, November game.
Cold, baby. Like,
it will.
Potentially cold. Once that sun goes down in November, man, like, it's cold. So I'm curious as to I would love to know the reasoning behind Navy at night. Now, I have never made it unknown to people that I hate night games because it just makes for such a long night with the post-game show. But I am in a season of my life where night games actually work out better. So I guess here we go. Night games, 3 of them. Bring it on. And that obviously doesn't include what they're going to be doing on the road because we know Miami's going to be at night. And guaranteed there's going to be other night games as well moving forward. Could be Arkansas, could be at night. There's all kinds of options for the away games to be at night. But here we are.
I think this opens up, like, going forward, we could pretty much see 3 night games a year if it works out. And this is my rationale. Like, Blake Horvath is back for Navy, as I.M. Tenzin says. And he says he's totally going to have them undefeated by the time they meet. And I think that that's got to be what NBC is thinking. Like, after seeing last year,
sure,
like, Notre Dame played both Army and Navy when they were unbeaten at that point, and they were both ranked teams last year. So last year it made sense. And obviously the Army game was the Shamrock Series game out there at Yankee Stadium. And I'm sure that NBC is kind of banking on Navy because, like, when you look at Navy's schedule, it's a Navy schedule. It's not much different than last year. And you've got Horvath, so you're going to have kind of especially in terms of the service academies, he's going to be a pretty big name, like, because everyone kind of found out about him this year with what Navy did. So, I mean, that's what I'm thinking. But I'm completely with you. It was totally shocking that they announced a 3rd primetime game. But then again, there's no Shamrock Series game this year.
Oh, that's a good point.
And again, they had 2 home primetime games last year plus the Shamrock Series game, with that Army game.
No, that's a good point. That's a good point.
And the schedule is better this year than last year. So,
yeah.
So I was shocked, but maybe I shouldn't have been so shocked.
I know, right? I mean, when you break it down, I guess it makes sense. I was still surprised when I opened up that email this afternoon or this morning or whenever it came through. It was like, oh,
right.
3 night games.
We'll see how NBC feels about that decision, though, when it's 11 o'clock and it's still the end of the 3rd quarter and Notre Dame's up by 4 touchdowns.
Right.
So, yeah. Fill in the blank. After Notre Dame got the commitment of 4-star defensive tackle Tiko Hola over the weekend, you feel blank about the Irish defensive line coach Al Washington.
Yeah, the same, I guess. I think he's a good recruiter. I think he's doing a good job. I think he's, he was easy fodder there for a while as far as like the shots taken and things like that for Al Washington. I think he has more than proven what he can do during the season. I think, maybe there was still a little bit to be desired from a recruiting standpoint. But I think he's doing a good job. I don't think he's like on the hot seat or anything like that. So I feel pretty good about Al Washington right now.
I've always felt pretty good about the developmental side, but let's just be honest. The recruiting side was what had to come around, right? But like the guy is getting win after win after win at this point between Dunham, Iwatade, and now Ola as well. I mean, that's 3 4-star guys in a span of about 3, 4, 5 weeks or something like that. That's almost as many, defensive line specific as they've signed in the last 3 years. And to get a guy like this, I don't know how much film of this guy you were able to see, but I mean, he gets after it. He's pretty disciplined. 102 tackles for a defensive lineman as a junior. Like 102 tackles in a high school season is a lot for a linebacker in a high school. That is like, let alone a defensive lineman. Like this guy's running guys downfield. He looks good. So I saw him block some punts, block some field goals in there as well. So Marty Biagi's going to be pretty happy about him as well. So big get, love it. And again, like for me, it's always kind of been for Al Washington. I felt like from a developmental side, like I think that we've seen a little bit more from him in each of the 3 years now, as he's been here.
Sure.
And I think that last year with some of the injuries they sustained, I felt like he really showed what he could do as a coach. But again, the biggest question that it felt like most people had about Washington was, is he ever going to get some recruiting wins? And he's stringing together a lot of big time wins.
True.
So feel good.
Love it.
Fill in the blank. It's blank that the Raiders have signed Jaylon Smith after the Notre Dame great did not play last season after failing to catch on with the team.
Surprising. I didn't realize. It felt like he's been gone for longer, I guess is the best way to put it. So I felt like he was coming out of retirement after like a few years, but it was only after 1 year, he's able to sign on. Now, that doesn't guarantee that he's going to make the team and all of that. He's going to have to go through all of the stuff. But man, he's a generational talent, and the injury just made it all go sideways. And so,
I know.
For him, obviously, I hope that this is the beginning of maybe a little resurgence, a little renaissance for him, and he has the opportunity now to maybe go out on his own terms too, which, a lot of professional athletes don't have that opportunity. So, I hope the best for him. He's with the Raiders, so God only knows what that's going to look like.
Yeah.
But for him, he's a great kid. I hope the best for him.
I mean, I hope he sticks. He obviously started off with the Cowboys, and it took him a little time, but they gave him that big contract. He basically had 1.5 good years with Dallas, and then for whatever reason, it just started to go downhill. And they didn't keep him after that. He bounced around a little bit between the Packers and the Giants, and actually did play one game in 2023 with the Raiders, and then that was it. They waived him after that. But I mean, so like he's basically gone the better part of the last 2 years without playing. So I was completely shocked to see that he's kind of back in the mix, that they were even inviting him out there for the minicamp that they had over the weekend. Cause like he was doing Good Morning Football a couple of weeks ago. And, there's like, he was part of a group that's trying to bring, I think it's like a ramen bar or something like that, like to South Bend. I think it was like Eddy Street Commons or something like that, which he can still do as a player, obviously, but it just felt like he had kind of moved on and was making other plans for his future, which is good. But I think it's awesome. Now he's still got to make the team out of training camp and all that kind of stuff. But the Raiders are, like you said, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with them, especially playing in that division when you had 3 other teams that were in the playoffs last year. But hey, Pete Carroll, can't go wrong.
I mean, look, Jaylon obviously wasn't.
Can't go wrong with Pete Carroll. I'm not saying that things can't go wrong, but
you're not wrong. Look, it's not like Jaylon was going to be working the back of the house at the new ramen hotel or ramen restaurant, so he can still be a financial partner in that, and he'll be good to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
I don't think he was actually going to be standing there, like,
what's up, guys?
Serving ramen, or
thanks for coming in. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I love the fact that he's figuring things out off the field and all of that. But he wants to give it one more go. It'd be hard to turn him down, especially when you're going into camp. You need bodies anyway. So, I mean, if he can flash, and
exactly,
that'd be great for him.
I think from their perspective, look, it's a veteran guy, great attitude, leadership, and all that kind of stuff. You bring him in, give him a shot.
Right.
Like 0 to lose.
They didn't sign him to a multi-year deal or anything.
No, exactly. Beefeater says a 4-ticket package for a Notre Dame game was auctioned off for CJ Carr's late brother, the Chad Tuff Foundation, to defeat DIPG. It raised over $10,000. Auction was heavy on Michigan items, and Notre Dame beat them all by a lot. Nice.
Cool.
Nicely done. Nicely done. Great cause as well.
It is a great cause.
Yeah.
And it is very well supported by Michigan, and I know that Notre Dame has their hand in it as
understandably,
well.
But I mean, now that there's
a
Notre Dame connection there, I think it's kind of cool.
I mean, mark it down, May 12th, 2025. I was saying nice things about Michigan. So that was my point. It's very well represented by Michigan. They support that foundation. I think that's awesome. And touche to the Wolverines for supporting that foundation.
Yep. Good deal.
And I'm done.
All right. That'll be the one time you ever hear Vince say anything good.
Mark it down.
About Michigan. Notre Dame lacrosse knocked off number 4 seed Ohio State in the first round of the NCAA tournament this weekend. Buy or sell it as a successful season now for the two-time defending national champs.
Well, when you're the two-time defending national champs, a successful season is winning the national championship. So I'm going to sell it for now. That was a big win. Obviously, they avenged a loss to Ohio State earlier in the season. I didn't realize they play so few regular season games. Like, I think they said, Notre Dame's only played like 12 games or something.
They played 12 regular season games, and apparently Corrigan, like, I think it's maybe, I think the limit is somewhere around like 15, 16, maybe. Some like, he always plays under the limit for some reason. I'm not exactly sure what his rationale is, but yeah, like they don't play the maximum amount of games that they could play.
Yeah. So, I mean, I thought it was like a typo when I was watching the game that they only played that many games throughout the regular season, but it wasn't. And obviously when you play that few games, the margin for error is pretty slim. So they were an unranked team going into the championship run. And what I also thought was interesting, by the way, not to go off on a lacrosse tangent, because I don't know that much about lacrosse, but after they rank the top 8 teams, the rest of the teams that they bring in to the tournament are paired up with the ranked teams based on geography, not based on where they would be ranked. So Ohio State got Notre Dame, an unranked team, in the first round, while like Penn State, who I think was ranked beneath Ohio State, got like
they're the 5 seed. That's who they get now. Yeah,
so
that's
like
who Notre Dame gets now.
It was like the announcers were talking about like, wow, Ohio State really kind of took it here, and Penn State kind of had a bye almost.
So it was interesting listening to your answer to this question, because on Friday going into the weekend, I asked Jesse, like, do they have to win another national championship, to feel good about this season, since they're the two-time defending champs? It kind of seems like for you, it's all or nothing.
Darn right. They at least got to get there. You got to get to the dance, the championship, the natty.
Yeah. I think, at some point you're not going to like keep winning championships.
Agreed. But they still have the core of that team minus the goalie, because the goalie was like a stud.
And Kavanaugh. They've got, was it Chris, but they don't have Pat, right?
They have number 50, who's been amazing both of their runs, and he's still there.
Right.
As long as it's the same.
They were the two brothers. The brother with the torn hamstring,
right? Where
graduated last year.
Yeah.
But that was 2 years ago that he had. But my point is,
right,
he was kind of the leader last year.
Right.
They still have the younger brother this year, so they don't have.
They're very deep.
They lost a lot of. They had a ton of those 5th year guys last
right.
year because of the COVID year and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think at the very, and we talked about this going into the weekend as well. 2 of the 4 losses were by 1 point, and they lost to Ohio State in the regular season in a fairly close game. So they come back, they avenge that. They're in the quarterfinals now for the 13th time in the last 15 years. Like that's what I'm saying. Is kind of an easy money round for them. Like, win this game, you're at least in the semifinals.
So that's the saying. If you've been to this spot 13 out of the last 15 years, like, we're not at success yet. Like, that's normal. That's, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
they need to advance a little further for me.
They've also won 9 straight NCAA tournament games because of the fact that they've won back-to-back national championships.
Makes sense.
So Yeah, they're on a pretty long tear at this point. But again, you've won 2 national championships, so that kind of stands to reason. So Decaf is asking about Notre Dame baseball in the NCAA tournament. He says they're the hottest team in the nation right now, and as fate would have it, we've got a question. Fill in the blank. It's blank that Notre Dame baseball has won 13 of its last 15 games heading into this weekend's regular season finale at Miami after sweeping Bowling Green over the weekend.
It's like a phoenix rising from the ashes. Like, they were awful the first half of the season, and now all of a sudden they're winning a bunch of games. Now, I realize they swept Bowling Green, which is a MAC team, but you know, a lot of those other wins are against ACC teams. Okay, and you know, they've got to. They held their own against Florida State, which is impressive all by itself, and obviously they've got Miami coming up. I guess if you want to get hot, this is the time to get hot right before the tournament and everything else. You know, get your name out there. I don't even know if they're considered a bubble team at this point, but you know, this is the time to be winning. It's certainly not the time to be losing. So it's impressive they've won 13 out of 15. At least, look, it makes Sean Stifler's job a little bit more safe going into next year.
No, that's exactly right. And like, to your point, like, a win is a win, and that's what they need is wins at this point. Now, the only thing that I'll say is, as you said, it's Bowling Green, it's a MAC team. Now, you could easily have lost those teams. So what they've shown is at the very least their weekend pitching, you know, their 3 best guys are better than a MAC team's 3 best guys. You know, whereas like the series where they really started kicking up steam was Cal and Stanford in back-to-back weekends. Those 2 teams are sitting pretty low in the conference right now, but they've worked their way onto the bubble, and that's really all you can ask. You know, they've still got their work cut out for them, because to me, I feel like they've got to go to Miami, at least take 2 out of 3 games in this series, and then you go to the ACC tournament. And remember, I don't know if you do remember this, but they expanded the ACC baseball tournament this year.
Okay.
All 16 teams are going to be in.
Oh, okay.
And it's basically like a basketball tournament. It's going to be single elimination.
Oh, wow.
So I think they need to take 2 out of 3 this weekend against Miami, and then probably win 3 games to feel comfortable for their chances, you know, to be in the tournament. One projection I saw them last week had them among the first 4 teams out. That was going into last weekend. You know, again, win's a win, but you're not going to get any, you know, big picture points, you know, like for sweeping a MAC team.
Correct.
At the end of the season.
They got to make some noise against Miami this weekend. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, 64 teams get in. And, you know, I'm looking at one projection. They don't have Notre Dame listed as like one of the last 4 out. You know, they're going to have to make some noise this weekend if they want to. And they're going to have to make noise in the ACC tournament too.
Right.
Because there's 9 in this projection I'm looking at. There's 9 teams in the ACC that are projected to make the field.
Their problem is going to be, like, they've got a win against Florida State. Yeah. Like, other than that, they don't have a lot of quality wins.
Right.
And they've got some bad losses on the resume as well, because of the fact that they lost midweek games to Western Michigan, Northwestern, and Purdue. None of those teams are any good. So, like, that's like, at the very least, you know, great. You're winning at the end of the season. You've pushed your way toward the bubble, but they've got some resume building to do. And like I said, winning a series. Yep. You're right, Christopher. They won 1 game against Clemson.
You got to win more than 1. That's the thing.
Right.
They're going to have to win a couple
games. That
games
doesn't help you. Like, that doesn't do much for you in terms of RPI points. But again, like, from a straight up resume, like, at least you have a win, but you also lost the series, you know? So, like,
exactly.
The fact that they were able to pick up wins against Clemson and Florida State definitely help them. But they've got resume work to do. And like I said, if they can win 2 out of 3 this weekend and probably win 3 games at the ACC tournament, they're feeling pretty good. But they don't have much teeth to their resume other than that. I think their RPI right now is 49. You know, so again, it's getting better. I think they've jumped up a few points. They've definitely jumped up a few points in the last few weeks. But I'm looking here, you know, like Florida State, their RPI right now is 9. Louisville's is 22. And I forgot about that one. That's actually a good resume, because they took 2 out of 3 from them, and that's kind of included in this current hot streak. But where is... There they are. Bowling Green has an RPI of 127, so again, it's like that doesn't help you.
I mean, Notre Dame's sitting at 11th right now in the conference. They're 12-15. So, I mean, if they sweep Miami, then that puts them at 500. Then they have a shot. You know what I mean? But they're going to have to do really well this weekend, and then they're going to have to win multiple games in the tournament in order to even make it in.
I think you win 3 games. If they win 3 games at the ACC tournament, that gets them into the semifinals. So
I think they got a shot. Now, I don't think. Listen, you can't go 0-3 against Miami this weekend.
No,
you can't, because
honestly, I think you have to win the series.
Absolutely,
Miami.
Completely agree with that. Because Notre Dame's sitting at 11 and Miami's sitting at 8. So that wouldn't even be like a huge upset. Like Miami's sitting 2 games over 500 right now. Notre Dame's 3 games under 500, right? 14-12 versus 12-15. So, they got to win that series, kind of shorten that gap a little bit. And then you got to win some games in the ACC tournament. They got a long way to go before they're in the postseason. That's the point.
They still have their work cut out for them, but all of a sudden, like at least they're playing with more confidence.
Absolutely.
Right now they've still got to play Eastern Michigan this week, and that could end up being a little bit dicey. And it's a game that's been rained out because of the fact that they've lost some of these midweek games, like I talked about, to Western Michigan and Northwestern and such. And they actually play Eastern Michigan tomorrow. That'll be their home finale. That game's been rained out, I think, at least 2 other times.
Has it really?
This season? But again, like, you're not going to have one of your weekend pitchers pitching against Eastern Michigan.
Correct.
You've absolutely got to win that game.
Yes. You can't have any clunkers on the resume at this point in the year.
Right.
You can't. And I'm sorry, Eastern Michigan's a MAC team. You got to beat Eastern Michigan. I mean, you just have to. So, and again, you got to win 2 out of 3 against Miami. Miami's not the number 1 team in the conference, right? So you've got to make some noise against Miami at this point.
Yes, concur. So this is NFL schedule release week. They're going to announce the full schedule Wednesday night. We got the first tease today. They announced the first game of the season.
I know you're excited.
Defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia against the Dallas Cowboys Thursday, September 4th. Are you in or out on the Cowboys being the opponent for the defending Super Bowl champs? I mean, that's the question, because it's always the defending Super Bowl champs get that first game. They're going with Dallas right out of the gates.
Look, it's a conference game. There's all the confidence is always high in Dallas, and I think it's a good first game. I don't know if you're going to appreciate that being the first game. You'd kind of like maybe a game to get your feet wet, but you're going right up against the world the world champs right off the bat on the road. They're going to be unfurling the sign. All of those different things. Can the Cowboys kind of upset the party? I mean, look, if you're going to watch NFL, you might as well watch your team on the first game of the season. So I think this is a very enticing matchup for every fan, because this should be a very good game.
I mean, it's kind of like last year. Remember the season started, they sent the Cowboys to Cleveland for Tom Brady's first broadcast, and they kind of made a big deal out of that. And I think it was either Tom Brady's first year in Tampa or the next year they had the Cowboys in Tampa kicking off on Thursday night. They love to use Dallas as a ratings magnet that first weekend of the season if they can. So it's no shock. And I agree with Christopher. Like, go to Philly, rain on the parade there in Philly. I love it. Everyone's going to be fully healthy right out of the gate. Like, that's the one I want right away.
Either go really well or really poorly.
At the bit. Oh, it's going to go well, baby.
He's all in.
Fired up on this one.
He's all in, baby.
Philly. Freak Philly.
I love it. I love the passion in which you speak.
Yes. I got fired up. When I saw that, because it also kind of makes you think that, not only are they going to use the Cowboys as a ratings magnet, but the fact that they're doing it in week 1 probably means like they're not overly confident in what Dallas is going to be this year. So they're doing it, early in the schedule rather
Right.
than later in the schedule, like when you don't know what the record's going to be and that kind of stuff. So, in for a big surprise. All right, another NFL question for you. The Rams are going to go to Maui, Hawaii for their mini camp next month, which I thought was interesting. My question, though, is why just mini camp? Would you buy or sell a regular season game in Hawaii?
I mean, if they're going to play regular season games in Mexico and London and
Brazil,
like
Australia, Germany,
put one in the United States.
Yeah.
Like I'm actually all in on it. I think they have missed the boat because look, they've already taken away the Pro Bowl from Hawaii. Give them a game. Give them a game because look, the Pro Bowl was always well attended. They loved having the Pro Bowl in Hawaii. At least the Hawaiians did, from what I can tell. Give them a game. Give them a game. I'm all for it. I'm in. Buy it.
I mean, I completely buy it as well, because just like we just said, it's like you're playing all over the world. I realize that Hawaii is a pretty good flight, but if you're going to play these games all over the world, why wouldn't you? They've got that stadium. I have no idea what the shape of the stadium is now, but obviously Hawaii has a team. They used to play, the Pro Bowl there. They played, the Hawaii Bowl and all that stuff over there. Like at the very least, the NFL could, spring for some new turf, if like that's an issue or anything. It just seems to make sense to me. And especially like Maui, with all the stuff they went through, with those fires and stuff, what's that been? Just like 2 or 3 years back. I mean, it hasn't been that long. It feels like that could be something that could really help out Hawaii if you did something like that. Send the freaking Cowboys and the Rams over there. Send the Chiefs over there. Somebody.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. I don't like I'm curious actually as to where they used to play the game because I'm looking at the University of Hawaii's field, and it's got like a track around it and all kinds of other things. So I'm curious as to where they were. Is that where they were playing the Pro Bowl?
I'm trying to remember
in that stadium. I don't know. There's got to be because like I said, I'm looking at the stadium. Not a lot of stands. You know what I mean? Like it's a very mediocre stadium for a Division I football team.
Aloha Stadium. Is that the stadium you're looking at?
No, I am not.
Aloha Stadium in Oahu is where they used to play the Pro Bowl.
Ah, okay. That makes a little bit more sense based on the size of
probably
it.
A little bit bigger.
A lot bigger, actually.
Yep.
Okay.
There you go.
That makes some more sense. Like you could easily play an NFL game there. Come on.
Yeah. Well, again, they played the Pro Bowl there, so it was pretty good size. I mean, and really, it's not like you need Super Bowl attendance for one of these things. Just
right.
You're doing it kind of for the locals and maybe a little tourism, maybe some fans go over, that kind of thing. Play an NFL game in Hawaii in December. Like, who's going to complain about that? Who's going to complain about that, Vince?
Not this guy. Not that I would be invited, but not this guy.
True story. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for tonight. We kind of ran the gambit with everything tonight.
Good stuff. It's a Monday,
Yeah.
It's a Monday in May. It's summertime in college football. We don't have a portal to talk about anymore. There's only so much out there. There's,
good.
The 16-team playoff, though. It's like I want to temper my excitement because obviously this year it's not happening. We're back to the 12-team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like I want to get excited, but I don't want to get too excited. That's the thing.
Yeah, very true. Tomorrow's show, USC writer RJ Abatia is going to join me. And I talked about this on Friday. Everyone complains. Everyone complains about the pre-recorded interviews. RJ is going to be on live tomorrow. So
say it ain't so.
Be on your best behavior, but be here and know that it'll be a live interview. There's so much stuff to talk about with USC. That's why I said, hey, RJ, what's up? We got Chad Bowden. We got the future schedule thing.
You got a
we got
USC
Lincoln Riley.
decommitment. You got a decommitment
Mhm.
that is leaning Irish, it feels like. So, yeah, lots to talk about. Right now, they have the number 1 recruiting class in the country for the 26 class. You know?
Yep.
Notre Dame's number 2.
Notre Dame's number 2 right now.
So, and does he think that USC is going to back out of the rivalry? Those are the things I want to know. What's the vibe coming from LA?
And that's
Trojan.
exactly what we'll find out on tomorrow's show when
Right.
RJ's on live. So, all right. Hit the like button before you leave. Thanks as always for being here, and we'll talk to you tomorrow on our IB Nation Sports Talk.